Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another Intuitive Websites Internet Marketing Podcast. Tom and I were kind of going back and forth on the whole reasons. Why do you need a great website when your sales are through the roof? So that's really the big question. And I think, isn't that one of those things? It's like, why do I need a salesperson going out selling because we have too much business right now?
It is. It's a little bit of that. It's also a little bit of the idea of the website's kind of out there and it's invisible to me. I don't see it. Imagine if you were an e-commerce business and you would say, we don't want to improve our website because sales are through the roof right now. And someone said, well, what about if the sales would go up? Would you improve the website? Of course they would do that. But for sites that are generating leads, for sites that aren't selling directly online, it's very tempting to say, well, the business is doing great right now. The website just could stay as it is. We don't need to improve it. We're not concerned about that. Well, one of the things I want to say is, number one, sales go up and sales go down. So just because sales are extremely high right now doesn't mean they will be high in the future. And I think one of the most important things to realize about marketing in the age of the internet is that you can lose market share and not know it. And this happens all the time to companies. We got a call recently from an old client of ours who hadn't worked with us for a couple of years, and we just had seen a steady decline in their website visitors and website leads. And we were able to look and see, well, number one, they have not stayed up with website design trends. Their site looks about 10 years old. And then they also have been removing content from their site that they didn't think was needed for some reason.
What content were they taking out?
Well, in this case, this company is a training company working in technical markets, and they had this really amazing glossary of technical terms on their website. And about I think it was 40% of the visitors who came to their site to look at that content. And they thought, well, no one's going to hire us because they're looking at this content. They removed the content, and their sales or their leads dropped, their visits dropped. And it impacted the business so much that they called me and said, what's going on? We need to get back on the horse here. That's an example of what can happen over time, because you can lose market share and lose results without even knowing it.
Is it possible that there could be times when, business is good, and I think we're talking more about service-based businesses that are not e-commerce. I think that would probably be more of the exception, because we do know in e-commerce, you have to have the top end, you have to have the best website, the easiest, best user experience. That's how you're going to continue with the sales. But if you're dealing with somebody who is a service-based business, that might be word of mouth marketing. And maybe they used to going, hey, it's all referral based. It is word of mouth. The website, yeah, sometimes people go there, but it's more just there because we need a presence on the web. What would you say?
That could be very true. Yes.
And so if you have that, and I mean, I'm trying to go really specific here for someone saying, it's not as important. Somebody who might have a local business, they do not have a regional, statewide, or national, or even worldwide business. They're just in a small region, and this is all that they do. I almost want to even say, like, a realtor would be an example of this, is somebody who just works in a small market that they're dealing with. They're not going, hey, we're taking business all over Colorado. We're focusing on Colorado Springs. That's all that we do. Well, that would be an example. How would somebody like that say, well, when things are going really well, real estate's doing pretty good right now. Is this the right time? Or do we go, hey, wait for things to slow down, especially if you're a solo entrepreneur? I mean, how does somebody go about doing that? Because I think that's really where most business owners get stuck, saying, hey, yeah, business is really great. I just don't have the time or energy to do it. And
it's a really good point.
And how can I outsource it? That's the other piece, is even if I did outsource it, how would I manage that? Because it's another thing on my plate that I don't have time for.
It's very good points that you're making. And I think I want to come back to the concept that during a strong economic time, when things are going well and sales are high, that is the time to invest. That's the time to put money into things that will return for you some return down the road. And I think that that's what web marketing has to be at this point. Now, even if you don't make investments in additional leads or direct growth, your investments that you make in your site should have a return for years to come. And there is a very different approach from a company that's scalable. Like, for example, the client we have is scalable. They're a home builder, so they could take on more homes. They have a process for that, and they can bring people in and do it. A realtor or an entrepreneur or someone who's not scalable, that's a very different thing. They might have to either increase their prices, be more selective about who they work with, or whatever. I mean, so, they only have so much of them that can go around. However, coming back and investing into their website makes their career and their work even more secure for the future. So the best time to invest in marketing is during growth phases. And I think that then prepares you for when there is a downturn. Because as I mentioned, sales go up and sales go down. One of the things I would tell entrepreneurs to do is maybe not invest in a lot of expensive things like photography or videos or expensive redesigns, but at least keep your content going. Keep a content stream going at this point, because that will help you in Google. You'll have even better placement in Google in the future. So it's an investment. Marketing is an investment, and this is the time to invest.
Right, right. I mean, could they also do something? Because we know, I mean, obviously, if you're doing a redesign, you're starting to look at some of those things, or refreshing. I mean, you mentioned photos and video, and kind of like you might, hold off. And we might be even talking about professional, going back in and hiring a professional to do certain design. Hey, we need a shot that looks like X, Y, and Z. Go out and get those shots. But something you can do on your own, because I found refreshing video, and even if it's my own content, there's so many more bites that come up when you have fresh content, and video, especially now, because of the way everything is run. Facebook has their own search engine with Facebook video. You've got YouTube, which is tied to Google. You have so many different options that are out there now. Having that new content just shows something new on the site. So when somebody goes onto your website that may have been there a couple of years prior, says, but I saw this person that I wanted to hire, and their business was really good. Let me go check them. Let me check them out again. They go to your website and they go, there's a brand new video there. It may not be the super high level production video, but it is a good video that's got great content. It's set up great and gives them something new, saying, oh, you know what? They actually know what they're talking about.
It's such a good point, because, and it comes back to this idea that the internet has created market share opportunities in such a different way than it used to be in the past. In the past, market share was pretty evident. You would know who the leaders were and so forth. But now we're all trying to get a slice of this internet pie, right? And when you do things like that, when you add this great content, you get a bigger slice. And it also does something else very important. And this is very important for companies that the sales are through the roof right now, is that you want profitable sales. Because anyone who runs a business knows that you can be $100 million business or a $1 million business, but if you're not in the black, it doesn't matter. In fact, $100 million business in the red is a huge liability, and you don't want to be there, right? So if you want profitable customers, one way to do that is to have a website that is excellent among your competitors and has great content. And if you do that, the more profitable customers will come to you. They'll have a better connection with your business. Same thing with your social media marketing and content that goes out through social media. You use that to attract profitable, well-qualified customers. So that's all part of this. And that works together with being effective even when sales are going through the roof.
Before we get to our key action items for the podcast, Tom, can you speak a little bit to those entrepreneurs who might be solo in their business, really small companies where they don't have the time and energy? Let's say if they want to go out and hire another firm for help and get some outside help, what is the absolute best way to do that? Because obviously from a starting point, people go, okay, I need to outsource all of my web work. I have no idea where to start. What would be 3 items that they could look at that they could be able to start moving that off of their plate?
Well, number one is to get educated in how this all works. In fact, you're basically plugging my book, Glenn, which is Winning the Website War, which I highly recommend anyone who's in that position that Glenn just mentioned, start with reading this book, because the book gives you the outline for how to build a team and what activities that team needs to accomplish to meet your vision. Because if you're on a budget and you're going to have to outsource directly, you probably don't have the budget to go to a digital agency. Like we're a digital agency at Intuitive Websites. So we have overhead and we have people working here. So we're going to be more expensive than a contractor, but a contractor will not have the depth of experience or knowledge about your strategy to help you meet your goals. So if you're going to go the route of a contractor and pay less per hour, you've got to give them direction, because they're going to come back with things that will not be in line with your strategy, will not give you results. Right. So start by educating yourself. Once you do that, then outline the team members as defined in the book based on your greatest needs, whether it be development, design, content, all of those different things that's explained in the book. The biggest mistake that entrepreneurs make is feeling like they find their web guy. I found my web guy. He works in his basement at home. He's got a great pricing package. Man, he's really good. Does design, does development. He'll even write content, do SEO. That is a fallacy. It doesn't work that way. You're probably going to end up either with a gorgeous, great designed website that has no functionality, or vice versa. More than likely, you'll end up with a website. Functions great, all the links work, but the design is terrible and the content is written like a brochure copy, right? So,
or a technical white paper.
Or a technical white paper. So get educated first as the entrepreneur, and the book will provide you with all the steps needed to make that happen.
Wonderful. And Tom, what are the key action items for today's podcast?
Well, I want to start with, in fact, what I've been doing with this client, subtly doing with this client, is having them compare themselves to the leading websites in their industry, because their sales, I'm sure, are doing well too. So where do you fit among competitors? Does your design stand out above competitors, or is it mediocre? Is your website forward thinking and ready for the next 5 years, or is it about 5 or 10 years old? That alone right there would be the reason to upgrade the site. And the content on the website. Is the content on the website leading the marketplace, or is it just filling in gaps in brochure copy? And then most importantly, and this is something that is a leading indicator for your business, it'll be the first thing that happens before sales drop, and that is your website traffic will drop. We've talked about this in other podcasts. Website traffic is a leading indicator. So when you see the website traffic start to go down, the sales will soon follow that. So, my best advice would be invest and improve your website when sales are up. But if you're thinking about it and you want more information, then those action items should help.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Tom. And folks, thanks for joining us again for our Intuitive Websites Internet Marketing Podcast. And hopefully you'll be thinking to yourself, I need to have a great website regardless of whether the sales are through the roof or right into the ground. Thank you so much for joining us. We'll catch you on the next one.